The SL1 guide, second part, bound for Undead Settlement and the Road of Sacrifices. Not too different to regular gameplay. I'm just going to rush through and get the items that I need, and this time I actually have a plan, so we're going to hopefully not have the awkward sections from last time where I had to look stuff up on the wiki. I've actually got a plan this time. So, we're going to get the Estus Shard. Okay, so first of all we should get this bonfire. We can't go to Urate of Londor. I think it's Urate. Yo, there you go, plan. Straight out the window. Because the hollowing will give us extra soul levels. Or at least it sort of is against the spirit of a soul level 1 even if it doesn't. So here, we've got 3 dogs. I'm just going to try to run past them. One of them is going to aggro onto me, but he can't catch me if I run. And I'll get the first one. Okay, if we have to kill this guy before we can get the first bonfire. And yeah, you can abuse the fact that lighting a bonfire actually gives you iframes for the entire animation if you need to, as I did there. I'm not going to act like that was intentional, and the items just disappeared. It's not an important item for this. First item we're going to get here is going to be the small leather shield, which is the one I like using for parrying. You can use it as well, you can use whatever parry shield you want. But all the timings that I give will be for the small leather shield, and sort of by extension other small shields. Let's just hit, which is one of the reasons that I like it so much. Just knock him down. Small leather shield in the bag. Now I'm going to pick up Loretta's bone. I don't know if I'm going to give it to Grey Rat. I might not, but Loretta's bone is right here anyway. Just hit it and then follow it down. And now I need to get the Estus Shard. The Estus Shard is directly behind that. I can't remember the actual name, it's the summoner, it's the fat one here. We're just going to run around, pick up the Estus Shard, and then roll in any direction we can to get away from there. Now we need to run over to Cornix. Cornix is the pyromancy teacher that cannot do dark pyromancies awkwardly, but none are required to finish the run. So I'm just going to pick up this item here. It's just a soul item. I didn't know what it was before I picked it up, so I didn't know if it was important. I'm just going to literally run through here, do the jump down to Cornix, because Cornix appears to be reasonably easy to get to, because he's literally in that cage up there. The problem is you don't actually run through here. You have to run onto this bridge, so I'm going to try to get a drop attack onto this guy, because I should one-shot him. There you go. It doesn't actually reduce the damage that you take from the fall, but it's 3 souls. That's probably worth doing. Light this bonfire, because I plan to use it the moment that I get her to Firelink Shrine. Actually, I don't know what gender Cornix is. Once I get Cornix to Firelink Shrine, I plan to just use that bonfire to go back. Up here there are 3 firebomb throwing undead. One of them is already separate, and apparently I'm one-shotting them, so it isn't too bad. This is why you need to actually pay attention to your weapon infusions, because then you can get the early game to be much easier. The Private actually has really good base stats to do the game. It's just a case of you don't get to scale them up. So go through here, spam A or X on PlayStation or Cross if you want to pronounce it that way. So you get asked to learn Pyromancy, take that. I'm going to pick up this item here. I'm pretty sure it's a soul, but because I've already killed the undead that would throw stuff at me, other than that one, I will just take it and then drop down from here. Oh, I got a firebomb. Firebombs are alright, they're not needed, but I'm now just going to take the... Sorry, if I can actually get my words out. Take the bonfire back to Firelink Shrine, and get the Pyro Flame from Cornix, and get the first Pyromancy, which will probably be Fireball. I think she also gives Flash Sweat, which can be used in some fights, but I didn't find it ever to be more useful than Carthus Flame Arc or Great Chaos Fireball. So here, we can reinforce the flame once we get Titanite. I don't use regular Titanite, which is a blessing once you start buying it. Yes, we can get Flash Sweat. I'm gonna just pop a soul item and get Fireball, because Fireball is actually pretty good in the early game. Okay. That completely failed. I'm gonna also put the small leather shield, because even if I don't need to start parrying stuff now, it can give me iframes, which would be useful if I'm being attacked by a lot of things at once. Because while riposting, which is the attack you do after a parry, or the special attack you do, you get iframes for the entire animation, possibly minus a little bit on the edge, which is really nice to have for just most things really, because they give you the benefit of high prime frames as well, so you can't be staggered out of it. I really am just stalling for time here, in terms of not being able to do this fast enough. So I'm just going to teleport back. I don't know if that was necessarily the best bonfire to go to, but I can't think of anything better to go through. I'm now going to try to get to the Mortican's Ashes. The Mortican's Ashes are after the next bonfire. They let you buy charcoal pine resins, which you'll more or less only be using until you can get to Carthus Flame Arc, which is the Catacombs at Carthus. Now, okay, I was going to say next bonfire. It's down there. You might be able to see where that item is in the distance. I'm going to try to line up just over my head. It's directly behind there, or I can run basically straight to the end. Haven't actually noticed that before, because planning. I did some, I didn't say I'd do a lot. I'm actually going to skip that bonfire entirely. You may think, well, am I going to run to Curse-Rotted Greatwood? I will do it. That will be done as part of the run to get the Prisoner's Ring. It is required. But, oh no, it's Prisoner's Chain. I even looked that up. I looked that up in the process of getting the images for the previous one, and I'm still getting it wrong. But I'm going to just run through here and get the Flynn's Ring and the Chloranthy Ring, because Flynn's is important for an alternate build that you can do, which may be useful in some situations for something like Nameless King if you're doing it, and it's already on the route. And Chloranthy is more or less required to get through some of these bosses. So we're going to wait for Sigurd to come up. Now the awkward thing is, I can get him basically killed here, but I can't get him to attack these things. I can't get him to attack the hollows. So now I'm going to literally just run over it to reset the lift, because I need to go up, and he won't fall down, which is annoying, so I'm going to try to hit him into the thing. Okay, I failed that slightly. He seems to just be bugged out entirely here, which means I can get a free kill on him here. Oh! Right, I'm somewhat surprised that didn't kill me, but it slowed this down by quite a bit. I'm just going to try to hit him repeatedly, because I know I can stagger him. So now it's going to go back down. See, Igwad is still here. Is Sigurd or Sigmar? Let's check. I actually should know here. Oh, it is Sigurd. Alright, so he's now complaining that it won't go up, even though we can get it to go up in front of him. I'm gonna go towards the giant at the top first, because he'll make it so I won't get hit by spears when I come back for Curse-Rotted Greatwood. I mean, it also gives me a young white branch, but I have never used one in any situation. So now he will he'll still throw spears, but he'll try to throw them at the hollows instead of throwing them at me, which is significantly nicer to deal with. And I would just roll onto these planks here. I don't think you need to roll, but it's nice. And now somehow in that time, without using the elevator, because he's just magic, he's managed to get up here. And we're going to use him to kill this fire demon, because we will run down and he will follow us eventually. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to pick this Homeward Bone. Now the Homeward Bone is really important to get out after Chloranthy, but we're not going to do it beforehand. And I think there's also like a proof of a con called Kept up there, or so no, it's a Pale Tongue. So now I'm going to aggro him, and hopefully, there you go, he's now coming. Come on, Onion Bro. Now, he can pretty much solo this actually. So, a lot of this is just a case of doing a little bit of damage to help out. Although, because I put fire on my weapon, if you put raw, you won't have this problem. I actually do less damage because I think he's resistant to fire. I mean, it would certainly make sense considering he's using fire, and now I'm just going to get right out of there and chug. We're having the issue that I have with SS at this point in the game is that I didn't think that would hit me. Is that they won't actually just heal you to full. By the end of the game, an SS will heal you to full. I think it's by +6, it's 550 healing, and if you have a Prisoner's Ring, you have exactly 550 health. So I'm just literally going to run from here. I can be involved in this fight, but I don't really feel much of a need to, because Sigurd just doesn't. He doesn't actually have a health bar. He doesn't appear to have a health bar. He seems to chug, but I can't see his health. He's having slightly more stamina than that because Prisoner's Ring or Prisoner's Chain. I am not spoiled, having recently actually finished the solo one. I did it earlier today, which I think will be the day of the upload. It'll probably be the day the upload starts, but no, not the day the upload finishes. I'm just been spoiled by the Prisoner's Chain because it's so good. I think he just actually tried to Storm Ruler weapon art the Fire Demon. And has Seagull just killed him? Nope. I'm just going to literally run up and smack. Done. The good thing is that you not only get a fire gem, which, if you didn't take it at the start and you took the black fire bomb, this is one of the few times that you're going to get one for free. But he won't actually complain that we more or less made him do the entire fight. So I'm going to jump. Okay. I'm going to once again fail the jump. That Firelink Shrine one is just haunting me at this point. I think that's the Northern Gear. Yeah, it is. And the other one is a Pale Tongue. I don't really need either of them, but I'm just going to run through here for a bunch of free items, because coming back here is going to either cost me a Homeward Bone, or take until after Udex Gundyr to do it for free. Because you can get the Coiled Sword, is it? I think it might be Coiled Sword Fragment. It's the multi-use Homeward Bone, similar to the Aged Feather in Dark Souls 2. And I'm not aware of a similar item for Dark Souls 1, although there may well be one. So to get the Flins, which is the next ring, we need to just run up here. Just follow the path that I'm doing. You can rewind, and do it again. We have to kill the dogs. Unfortunate, no one likes seeing the dog die, but I mean, we all like seeing Soul Level 1 victory achieved. And that's probably worth. So up here, we've got 2 of the casters. I'm just going to run through here. I'm going to go for the true Dark Souls strategy of run like a madman from the thing that's going to kill you. Get the items that you need. So the Flint's ring is up on this roof here. And the Clarity ring is not quite on the roof, it's actually down here. So we're going to jump onto this wooden bit. Into this tower. And now we jump from platform to platform. If you've done the well in Dark Souls 2, you know more or less how to do this. Except it's much shorter. The mirror gear here, onto here, Clarity. So now I'm going to chug, and I don't think a Homeward Bone is strictly required. No, okay, a Homeward Bone isn't strictly required. But it's so much nicer to do this with one. Because if I don't use one here, I'm going to have to run past the... I can't remember what they call it. I think it's the Irithal Knight or something. The guy who drops the Irithal Straight Sword just before the Road of Sacrifice. I'm going to have to run through him with like 2 Estus without being full health. Which just isn't going to be nice. I don't know why I went for that. So I'm going to go through all the things I need to do. I'm going to use the Estus Shard. I probably should have done that before. I'm not going to lie. If I can read it properly, I might actually know that's the right one. I can't buy him with Titanite yet. And I don't even have some Mortican's Ashes that I planned for. But I'm going to put the 2 rings on now. I'm going to put Flins on for now. Just because I have no real, good armour to put in these slots. I mean, I left the loincloth on for this long just because, that's it. That's because I had no reason to take it off, now I actually have a reason to take it off. I could, theoretically, put the full Northern set on, considering we just picked it up. And I don't know if that will actually put you over 70%. Wait, so I'm going to test. It'll actually put you on 60, which is alright, because you can still do a medium roll with this. If you don't feel particularly confident in the early stages of this game, go for it. But I'm fine with doing it, and I would rather have the extra damage. If you're going to just parry everything, you should know it well enough that you can do it with Flins and get even harder parries. Or harder hitting, I should say, not more difficult. So I'm going to go back to the cliff underside, under that House of Cornix, and I'm just going to run straight to Road of Sacrifices, because there's nothing else here that I need. I could make an argument for going for Morticans, but as I said earlier, it's only useful until you get to Catacombs of Carthus. And I think Abyss Watchers, which are going to be the main problem before that point, are resistant to fire, because they use it. But not everything that uses fire is resistant to fire, I think. Although, as a rule of thumb, if it uses X, it is resistant to X, it's normally quite good. Although Soul of Cinder can use lightning, while also being weak to lightning. Which is more useful for resins than for spells in this run, but you can also see that he's weak to dark, and you can buy human pine resins which is typically going to be much nicer for you because you can dump infinite souls into something if you can possibly buy it. Right. Probably should have noticed before that point that the lift was going in the wrong direction for me. It's just bugged out entirely there. So I'm just going to try to hit him to get him away while the lift goes down. If he chases me down here, he's dead. Because he'll stagger himself and take enough damage for me to kill him before he gets up. Now this is the guy I was talking about who drops the Earthal Straight Sword. There's an equivalent who drops the Rapier the Earthal Rapier in Lothric Castle. I'm going to literally just try to pick up this item, and that's going to be about as close as I really want to get to this guy. I accidentally got him to hit the pillar. If you can get him to hit the pillar consistently, that would be the best way to do this, because it keeps a lot of distance between you. I have infinite iframes during all of this, and I can just roll straight into Road of Sacrifices, Bonfire, and he will now reset the moment I rest, and he can't get here quick enough to stop me from resting. Right, so now we've got a couple more things, all of which are after the next Bonfire, so I might as well just run to. Copy my route through here. These guys actually have to do their little transformation thing first, and you can... Okay, apparently they don't. If you do the route where you go Dancer first, you'll be able to kill that guy very easily, because the Dancer first route will allow you to use the Astora Straight Sword here, which will actually completely remove the Broadsword from the run. Okay, it removes the Broadsword from the run the moment that you can use the Astora Straight Sword. And in all honesty, I could probably be using it now against these enemies, because I don't have the requirements for it, but Astora Straight Sword is very strange in how its requirements work, because if you don't meet the Faith requirement, you will only lose damage against heavily armoured enemies, but its description of heavily armoured is not the same as mine, because I would not say that Twin Princes are heavily armoured. The game does, for the purposes of the Astora Straight Sword. So I'm going to rest here to get the health back. Henri and Horace, you don't need to do anything with them. I did the first time because every guide I misread it as Henri's Straight Sword. Henri's is not bad for this run. I mean, Henri's is just pretty good in general, but it's nowhere near as good as Astora. And I was wondering, had this been changed to make Soul Level 1 easy, because you can use it from Soul Level 1 with no rings. But the problem is, it's just not as good. So through here, I have completely lost where I am. I accidentally picked that up. Alright, I know where I am now. Up here is the Bonfire, and we're going to need to we can actually get the Sorcerer's Gear, which gives some nice magic resistance for Crystal Sage, which will be the next boss. I will probably be doing that in this episode, although it is entirely possible that it'll behave the way it did last time and just take endless numbers of tries to pull off. In which case, I will edit out most of the times that I fail. I might not edit all of them out if there's something useful to tell you from them. So I think that is the Grass Crest Shield there. It is going to be vaguely near here. Yeah, it is. Right. The reason, if you're not going to use the small leather shield and you want to use a different shield, I would recommend it be this one. And in all honesty, if you can get the parry timings for Grass Crest Shield, that is just generally better because of the stamina regen it gives you. It's like, there are 3 shields that I use in this run. I'm just going to have to kill this guy. The 3 shields that I use are Dragon Crest Shield, once I get the rings for it. The Grass Crest Shield, most of the time, and I'm actually going to put it on now, because even though I have been invaded by an NPC, and I don't typically have both shields on at once, I'm going to swap it for a Fire Flame. Because now I get that. The stamina regen is higher than the amount you get by not having the weight in that slot. Which is sort of a strange thing, but it is a net gain from wearing it. Just even on your back. So this guy, I'm going to run past this guy for the Estus Shard. Because the Estus Shard isn't here, but Ember is. The Estus Shard is here. These things hit really hard. Although that is because I took the decision to go for the Flynn setup here instead of the Northern setup. If you went Northerns, he won't hit as hard. Guaranteed. He will probably still hit quite hard, because anything that hits that hard normally is normally designed to hurt pretty much regardless of what you do. Now in here, there's going to be another one of those guys, so I'm just going to run for the Sorcerer's Gear. Sage Ring over here, which I'm not even sure if I've mentioned, but the Sage Ring gives you faster spellcasts, which is reasonably nice to have. I'm now trying to think of how I'm going to get back up there, because I've somehow angered the crab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just loop round through here. There's a crystal lizard here, so I'm going to try to kill it. Yeah, got it. So, oh, it's a crystal gem. I couldn't remember what was on it. I thought it was a twinkling titanite. Crystal gem is not particularly useful in this run. If you... Actually, I can just jump here. Simple can be useful. A simple small leather shield, not small leather straight sword, that'd be ridiculous. But putting a simple on that could be useful because you get more FP for your spells and for weapon arts. Okay, so I need to just... If I wasn't embered, I would just suicide this guy to make it easier. Because death count isn't important. Poise is just clearly doing what it was meant to do there, because in my head that should give you hyper armor frames, but it doesn't appear to. I know that I've been invaded by that guy, and I don't know if that was an online thing or an offline thing. I've never seen it offline, so it is entirely possible that I'm being invaded during a guide, but I have no idea where he is. But I know that I can kick him out if I have a spare homeward bone. Yeah, I have a spare homeward bone, so what I'm going to do to kick him out is I'm actually going to start Crystal Sage and then bone out immediately. So I'm going to put it on my bar. I don't normally do this. Don't just put this on your bar. Ideally you want to have as little on your bar as possible. Well, on your bar. By bar I mean the bottom slot that you activate by pressing square on PlayStation and X on Xbox. Or I don't even know what the button is on keyboard and mouse. I mean, I say on Xbox, I mean on an Xbox controller. Because most people don't do this keyboard and mouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run into crystals. Oh no, I can't bone. Right, there he is. Ah, that's the guy who was throwing the spell at me. Right. That makes a lot more sense now. Right. That didn't look like a NPC. That looked like a human player. And granted, he's not that terrible at the game. Relative to how I'm doing at Soul Level 1. With no armour. So, tell you what. There's his little 4 minute, well, not even 4 minutes. 3.5 seconds of relatively small public notice. Look, doesn't quite the same ring to his 15 minutes of fame, but it's not really 15 minutes of fame, to be honest. So I'm gonna go and... I'm trying to think if I want to spend these souls. Because what am I going to spend them on? I don't really have Titanite to use to improve anything. Unless I have some Twinkling, but that's not how... Yeah, I have one Twinkling. Twinkling is used for the Ross Crest Shield. But there's not much point in upgrading it, in all honesty. No, I need to do the Extra Shard. And I might think, why am I putting so much effort in to like get this to be as strong as possible before Crystal Sage? Crystal Sage is hard SL1, at least in my opinion for my first time doing it. It's not regular. Normally, I would not do any of this. I would just go straight in there and just try to kill him as quick as possible. Here, not so much. I already bought the Embers. I don't need any Homeward Bones. Dried Finger is genuinely useless for this one. I've already done the trading throw thing. Just I think you can actually use the Scimitar. I don't plan on using it, but you can use it once you get a ring. So I'm just gonna reinforce Flask and then see if Cornix has anything useful for me. Now, I don't really think any of these are too useful. I mean, Fire Surge could theoretically be useful if the clones for Crystal Sage were near each other, but they're normally no more than 2 within like a reasonable distance. Can't level up, obviously, because SL1. No, I'm just gonna basically give up these souls, I guess. I'm not technically just like throwing them to the wind, but I'll be very surprised if I get to keep them past Sage. And then once Sage is done, that will be the end of this episode, and we're on about 24 minutes, so that gives me time for a couple of fuck-ups, which are inevitably going to happen, knowing me. Alright, one thing I should do first. Sorcerer. Not as good as Northern for magic. I mean, is it? No, it is actually better. In the headpiece, I will check on all the other pieces once I put the sorcerer gear on. Alright, Northern. Better in magic, better in magic, better in magic, better in magic, yeah. Sorcerer gear has, like, much higher magic defense than you would expect it to, for its, like, weight, and where it is in the game, which is really useful for Sage. I know that Sage can do physical damage with its little rapier swing. I don't even know how to do rapier. It's like some form of melee weapon. But he mostly is going to do magic. So I'm going to try to just dodge that. I don't think that's actually going to give... Oh, I admit. I nearly got through there for free. I don't have a Lloyd swing, so I'm just going to... I'm not going to Estus. If I had a Lloyd swing by this point somehow, I would have just Estus already. Alright, so we're in the Crystal Sage. Probably should have mentioned that beforehand. The strategy is vaguely the same as regular. In case I completely lucked out on where he was there. There's not some trick to actually pull that off that I know of, other than he's not going to be in the same place. I've never seen him go in the same place, and I've done the game like 4 or 5 times. And also, he's got no poise. I think he's got... Well, okay, I don't want to say he's got literally no poise, but... If you don't stagger him when you hit him, you should be worried, because you've done one of many things wrong. I'm actually hitting the right one again. I'm completely lucking out here. Like, I want to be able to show you how to do this properly, but I can't really say anything. There's nothing about that that requires some form of, like, actual skill. Right, all the clones have appeared. Yep, that's one of the many problems here. You can't keep vision on all the clones at once. Which means I'm probably not going to have a bunch of worse attempts because I'm not going to luck out as much. What you want to do there, and I didn't do there because I was being an idiot, is you want to go and deal with the clones. From my experience, if you can deal with the clones while dodging the magic, you ideally want to. There are some things that I've seen where people stand in very specific places to get cover from as many as possible. Questionable as to whether or not it's actually worth doing that or just rushing for the clones. The issue is that normally you will have the health bar to get away with just rushing for the main sage and letting him leave, because it will despawn all his clones until he respawns them. You can't really get away with that sort of one. A lot of the situations where you see people say, oh, just rush it because you have enough health. No, you don't. This is SL1. You don't get health on SL1 until you get Prisoner's Chain. By which point, you more or less don't need to. I'm going to pick that up even though that is a mistake. That laser attack, you need to dodge it every single time. It is a one-shot. Even through Sorcerer Gear, it is a one-shot. No questions on that one. I seem to be able to hit him four times per spawn. I'm going to just go here because this is where it was last time. And yeah, so what I'm basically trying to do is just show that that's luck. There is likely some form of tell, but it is so subtle in how it works. So I'm actually going to look for it. I'm going to say, let's say the tell with his face, just to guess. I don't know if this is true, and I'm not trying to say it isn't true. I'm trying to guess. So he wasn't actually looking in quite the right place there. I mean, if he is looking in the right place, he will spawn here. And if I have just discovered a new tell, then I am some mad master of dark souls. No, he seems to look vaguely near it, though. That could be useful. Now, I say that. Don't take that as being, like, solid fact. I'm just going to deliberately stand here. Right, okay, so I got through one clone, and now I'm just going to dodge immediately. Right. So here, what I'm going to try to do is just literally just run up to this guy. Now try to get myself a free Estus. Oh, this guy's a cunt. Sorry if I've just offended someone with that, but I think the Sage thoroughly deserves it. Just for how much worse he is on SL1. Oh god, no, that's with me. That's with me. That's got to be with me. Right, he's still there. So I'm going to try to just burst him down. Oh my god, I got it. Beautiful. Right. This is a fight that comes with practice. And I can't really say anything more than that. I'm going to try to give you some form of overview on this boss before I end the episode. I'm not going to do anything more. If you already know how to do this boss, and that was enough, fine, just leave here. I won't be offended. But I'm going to try to give you some form of overview on this boss. Now, it looked like there, and everything I say about this is not fact. I haven't proven this, I only noticed this now. He seems to look vaguely in the direction of where he's going to spawn, or vaguely in the direction of where a clone will spawn. Early, that's more useful than late. Because the reason that I stood behind... I'm just going to rest at this bonfire so that I can get safety from the guy over there. The reason that I was looking behind that pillar, in the middle of the screen, is because I thought he would spawn there from that tail. If it worked, he would spawn there. He didn't, but a clone did. So I don't know if that's a luck thing, if I just lucked out 3 times in a row, because he's always going to look vaguely near at least half of his spawn points. Because if he's on the right side... Oh, okay, I'm going to do right and left from where I'm looking now. So if he's on the right side, he's almost definitely going to spawn left. Almost definitely. Because there's only 3 spawn points, and he's already in 1. So it's like we assume it is perfectly random and there are no tells, there is a 3 in 5, like 60% chance it's going to be on the other side. So it's possible to luck that 3 times. The laser beam that goes along the floor and then it spawns spikes, that's a 1-shot. It might be a 2-shot, but it'll stagger you with the first hit the second. So as far as you care, it's a 1-shot. The slow-moving orb that follows you, it is affected by gravity. It will eventually hit the floor. You can if you run around him, while it's chasing you, it will eventually hit the floor and cannot hurt you. The thing that he fired over this wall, where it will rain down, you just gotta dodge it. You just gotta run and roll out of it. But the issue is getting vision on it while keeping vision on the sage. You might just have to learn the timing and get some form of counter in your mind going. His little rapier slash. Roll into it. I can't think of anything else to tell you. Roll into it or roll away. Those are more or less your only options. I'm trying to think of what else he had. The particles that he had going around me, when I said rip me, because one of them hit me, they just appear to follow up on his regular attacks and you just gotta dodge out, roll out the way. I mean, I know it sounds like sort of Korean advice, just like, well, how to do a boss, well, don't get hit. But I can't really give you anything more. I wish I could. I wish I could just say, press these buttons in this order, and you'll win every time. Because I would just learn all of them and then go get world records on all speedruns ever and turn to a god. But unfortunately, Dark Souls is more complicated than that. I can't really think of anything else to say. I mean, the Sorcerer's Guide that definitely makes this easier. I'm going to look at what else in the setup is really needed for this. Flynn's Ring did pretty much nothing for me there. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did nothing at all. You know, the thing I said about going to the wiki, that has just been completely abandoned. You actually can't see my Steam overlay. If you could see my Steam overlay, you would see me going to this, but I'm going to actually look up the exact maps behind the Flynn's Ring to see where it scales up to. It's not affected by weight percent, but the raw weight, which means that you can't just put points into endurance, I think it would be, and then get a full Flynn's Ring with Smells gear on. But, because that would be ridiculous. Also, it caps at roughly 30, with no gain. So I was getting a little bit. It's like 3 or 4%, I think. And now, yeah, I'm getting a frame rate unsuitable because I'm in Steam overlay. Well, I guess that's a reasonable place to end this episode, but the game has just said, nope. And now it's rebooting, because, well, the game is restarting, I should say, not rebooting, there's no bootstrap, but... Well, that'll end this episode. So, if that's helped, like, dislike YouTube stuff. I know I didn't say this in the last time, but, you know, I actually got some ads on these videos now, hopefully, so... I'm not saying that you have to do all these things. If you really want to, you can. I mean, I'll be flattered if you do so, but... That's the end of this episode. Hopefully I can actually end this without doing like this sort of... As I was about to say, hopefully I can end this without going on and on forever. I realise I'm about to go on and on ever. Right. Out. See ya.